Hello everyone, this is Caleb Simpson here from ZeldaDungeon.net, and you are watching my video walkthrough for The Legend of Zelda, Phantom Hourglass for the Nintendo DS. We just completed the Temple of Courage, and now that we have the bow, Romanos on Melita Island has a shooting gallery available where you can shoot targets with your bow to earn prizes. So because of all that, and because we just completed the Temple of Courage, one of the next events that happens is actually receiving a letter in the mail from Romanos. However, the letter will only actually appear the next time your date changes on your DS. So if you save and quit and then fire up your game on a different day, you will have this letter in the mail from Romanos. However, a lot of you probably will not see that until a later play session because you're probably still finishing up stuff after completing the Temple of Courage. So I actually saved and quit and then manually changed the date on my DS in my DS settings, and that's why you're seeing me get the letter right now. So a lot of you might not see this letter until later, but Romanos sends you a ship part along with this letter just informing you about the shooting gallery here on Melita Island. So after that, we're going to swing over to Linebeck's boat where Oshus is waiting for us now that we have the Spirit of Courage, and he'll help us out with that since it was acting kind of weird when we've got it in the temple. So now that we have completed the Temple of Courage, we finally have the Spirit of Courage, which gives us all 3 spirits. So as soon as you leave Melita Island, then Linebeck will say that this is the perfect opportunity to chase after the ghost ship in the northwest quadrant. So to get there, you want to sail from the southwest quadrant, just due north into the fog, and you'll be able to follow the ghost ship now that we have all 3 spirits. So that's all true, and we're going to start that in the next video, actually. Along the way, though, you will have this mandatory encounter with the she-pirate Jolene. So she will immediately fire on your boat, and you can jump over her torpedoes, actually, but she's pretty much impossible to avoid when she's really close like this. You just can't turn fast enough. If you're, have a path going directly away from her, you can probably make it, but right for this first time, you pretty much are forced to fight her. I think that's a weird phrase. She-pirate? I mean, I thought the word pirate was gender neutral. I'm just calling her that because that's what they call her in-game, but whatever. So Jolene's fights are very reminiscent of the Gerudo pirates from Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. What you want to do is smack her to keep her back against the wall, and then just wait for her to start charging. When she holds the sword behind her back, you want to get out of the way, then dodge to the side. At that point, she's actually vulnerable from either the side or behind, so just kind of strafe side to side, and that's how you get behind her. So just keep smacking her to push her back, and then just wait for her to dash at you. These barrels might get in the way. You can lift them up and move them, actually, but you're spending those precious seconds doing that, and she might attack you in the meantime. But just, if you keep smacking at her, she'll defend and back up, and that's how you can keep her at bay. After a while, though, she will finally lock swords with you. You want to rub the stylus on the screen, and this will knock her sword away. And every single time, too, she leaves the sword behind. I don't know if she goes through a whole bunch of them or what, but then she just leaves, and her sword is left here. Free swords for days! So Jolene will now attack you on the open seas in general, and you can see her icon on the map every once in a while, and she generally goes around the places that you're going to go, and I just like to swing wide of her. So if I see her coming, I'll just go off to one side, or I'll go get some sunken treasure in the meantime, or just teleport to the other side of the map or something. I just don't like to deal with her at all. And every time that you defeat her, you can go talk with the box, and Linebeck has something humorous to say, and he'll give you some rupees. Now, the amount of rupees he gives you at first is really bad, and then it steadily ramps up. So every time you face her, he will eventually give you more and more rupees until I think it's even 100 or even 200 rupees eventually. So it's a pretty good amount, actually, eventually. Once you've completed that, head back to Melita Island. We're going to go all the way back to Romanos. Along the way, though, we do get a letter from Jolene, which is actually addressed to Joanne, who is her sister. So we actually got the wrong letter. Whoops. But now you can go give it to Joanne. Now, Joanne is the girl who is dressed up as a mermaid that is back on Bannon Island. So if you did the fishing side quest, then you will already know who this is. If you have not started the fishing side quest yet, then you will not receive this letter. So you have to have met both of them, met both Joanne and Jolene, in order to receive this letter. So it's such a weird development. So the postman wants you to deliver this letter instead because he messed up, so I don't really understand why, but regardless, the next time you're at Bannon Island, you can drop this letter off with Joanne and she will give us a wisdom gem. After that, you want to continue on to Romanos' house on the far right, and he has a shooting gallery available for us where we can shoot targets, and it costs 20 rupees. You can actually smack the grass out here if you need to. You can go back into the cave, then exit or whatever, and make the grass reappear and keep doing it until you have enough money. So how this game works is we have a series of ghost targets that appear, as well as several little girl targets, and we need to avoid hitting the girl targets, and we need to hit all the ghosts. And every one that you hit will give you a certain amount of points, but then if you hit more of them consecutively, you'll ramp up your combo, which gives you more points per target. If you miss, your combo is broken, or if you hit a little girl, then your combo is broken. So actually breaking your combo is the worst thing you can do. Whether or not you hit the girl, if you just miss, it's horrible, and you actually lose a whole bunch of points, and you're pretty much guaranteed not to get any good prizes if that happens. So it's pretty rough. You need to just aim very carefully. So what I do is I hold the stylus on the screen and just release when I'm lined up really well. For the first little while, you do have to aim at the targets, and after that, actually, you don't have to aim at all, and I'll explain that here in a little bit. So around the time you start seeing girl targets, then all of the targets at that point will not stop anymore. They'll just keep going. So they face towards you, but then they just keep going left to right or right to left. And at this point, it's pretty much just a matter of timing. You just hold the stylus down in the middle of the screen and just release at the right time. Now there is a chance that a girl target could be in front, and then you have to like wait for it to pass by and then hit a ghost target a little left or a little right. But usually that doesn't happen. Honestly, like just doing this, aiming straight, usually works out great, and you can just keep shooting straight ahead. Now, generally speaking, you'll make a little over 2,000 points, and getting above 2,000 gets you in the highest tier of prizes, which in the first time you do that is a heart container. Now, they also have a quiver upgrade. Ironically enough, the quiver upgrade is not in the highest tier. It's one tier below that. So you want to make somewhere between 1,700 points and like 1,990 points. So you actually want to like purposefully do a little bit bad on one of these. I mean, a little bit bad, sort of. And then you want to do really good on one of them, and then you will get the heart container and the quiver upgrade. Now, other than that, though, you can hang out here for a while because getting the at least 2,000 points will allow you to get a whole bunch of ship parts. Now, the ship part pool that you get for this minigame is really high, so all the ship parts that you get from here are worth 800 rupees or even 1,500. And this is also a very good place to get the golden ship parts. So if you are thinking about doing that, this is a great place to do it, and if you can get good at doing it, then you can make a whole bunch of them all in a very short period of time. Now, I actually, for this playthrough, did not do... I did hang out here for a little bit, but I did not get a bunch of ship parts yet. So I should have probably hung out here instead of hanging out at the cannon game, and that would have been more beneficial. So I think the max amount of points you can possibly get for this is 2,150, but I think that's really unrealistic. So I think most people, it's like 2,050 is about what's to be expected. And what that means is you can actually miss one ghost because they give you 50 at the max combo. And so that means you can get 2,000 points would be missing one ghost. So if there is a ghost where it's really awkward, where, oh no, there's a little girl in front of it and it's not in the middle or whatever, so it's a little bit more awkward to aim, like I wouldn't even worry about it. Like just let that one go. Because I would rather let it go and still get the prize than stress about it and possibly miss and break my combo. See what I mean? Anyways, you want to score between 1,700 and 2,000 to get the quiver, and then score 2,000 or more to get the heart container. Once you've done that, you can go ahead and leave if you want, or you can stick around and get more prizes. Next, I'm heading to the shop to buy the second quiver upgrade. So there's two quiver upgrades in the game. One of them's here in the shop, the other one's at the shooting gallery, and both of them are available immediately after the Temple of Courage. So buying this sucker here, it costs 1,000 rupees, and the first quiver upgrade you get will increase your arrow limit by 10, but the second one you get will increase it by an additional 20, which means that now we can hold up to 50 arrows, which is kind of crazy. Arrows are awesome, and they kill a lot of enemies in one hit. Next, work your way all the way back to Merkay Island, and a couple videos ago, I hit a gossip stone just south of the Temple of Courage, actually, and there it was talking about how next to Oshus's house there's a tree that has a treasure map underneath it. So if you dig that up, you'll find a treasure map. Now, technically, if you had known the location of this thing, you could have gotten it significantly earlier, actually. I waited until after we had the clue, but either way, you could have gotten it earlier in the game. Alright, so next, real quick, I'm going to head over to the treasure teller shop. Now, I have been collecting treasure maps throughout the game, and I've been using the salvage arm to grab those treasures from out in the sea. And most of those led to ship parts, and the rarity of those is pretty high, so I actually have several ship parts that are worth 800 rupees or more, and I'm never going to complete that set, like I don't care. I could hang on to them, but the money is more worthwhile. Now, I currently only have 1,200 rupees, so I'm going to sell all these, and I make almost a little over 4,000 rupees doing all this. And so that's pretty nice, and that actually gives me enough money to buy everything else that I want to for the rest of the entire game combined, which is kind of nuts. I do progressively get more money just from various side quests and stuff anyway, so that in combination with all the stuff I just sold right now gives me enough money for everything. So if you're struggling for money, this might be a thing to realize, is basically the good amount of money you can get early game actually comes from treasure maps, is how that works. Now again, for me, I actually have the entire Ancient set completed. That just happened to be the set that was the most common for me. Typically, like most of the games I play, I think the Demon set is what I typically have as my common one. Like, I swear, just about every game I play, I've played through Phantom Hourglass, like, I don't know, 10 times maybe over the years? Maybe a little less, I don't know. And the Demon set is like the most common one. I get them all the time. This time it happened to be a more rare set, so I'm selling them. But usually that's what I end up with as my most common set. And again, I don't personally care about what my ship looks like per se. I more care about the practical side of things. There's not any particular set that I'm trying to get, although I am going to try and get the golden set, and I will get that before the end of the walkthrough. So just south of the Temple of the Ocean King, there is a cracked wall here on this lower level, and I actually blew it up earlier once we got bombs, but I didn't venture inside yet. So blow that up, and then head inside, and now that we have the bow, we can fully explore this cave. Kill all the enemies here if you want to. The Gossip Stone here is talking about fallen adventurers and how they have tips in the temple. It talks about 3 in particular, and I'm not sure why it's talking about that. I think there's 3 at the entrance, but I think there's way more than 3 in the dungeon. However, interesting thing to know about the other fallen adventurers in the dungeon is their tips change as you progress and you get more items. I'm not really going to explore that too much, but just know it's a thing. Continue on to the right, and if you shoot the ice switch, this extends a bridge to the south, which we will go here and there in a moment. You can open the chest here to get a power gem, which we will be using here very shortly. Now we finally are going to be able to upgrade the Spirit of Power here in just a little bit at the end of this video. Continue on to the south, and there's a Zora here, and I do generally like to kill these guys. You don't have to kill this one, you can totally just go out the exit. I like to kill them because they drop 20 rupees every time you kill them, and it just, the way I figured is it adds up. Like, most enemies don't drop red rupees. Zoras tend to always do it, and mini-buns do it often, so mini-buns are actually a pretty profitable enemy to defeat. So outside there is a stone tablet that tells you what to do, and this is all optional actually, but if you go up to the upper platform and aim off to the left and shoot the eye switch with your bow, this will reveal a stone statue. So go ahead and smack that with your sword. This will cause it to shoot out little beanie things from its little gem in its forehead. And what the clue said to do was draw a line between the Temple of the Ocean King and the tavern in town, and then make this statue so it's pointing parallel to it. What that means is to point off to the top left. Doing so will make the beam point towards a wall, which the stone tablet said was weak. So blow it up with bombs. And the interesting thing about this is you could have blown this up a lot earlier. You don't have to wait until now. That was all just like cool puzzly stuff, but you don't have to do that. You could have blown this up much earlier. Now halfway across this bridge inside this cavern though, you want to smack this crystal switch to the south, which you can't see normally. You have to actually aim that way with items. So either use your boomerang or your bow to smack it, and this will make a chest appear containing a courage gem. So once you exit the cave, you want to hop down and step on this floor switch. This creates a shortcut to this little island. Then circle around and go to the far top right corner of the island before talking with the character here. And this will lead you to a chest that contains a wisdom gem. So this new character, Friedel, allows you to put items inside these cylindrical present boxes behind her, and you can throw either treasure or ship parts in there, and then you will trade them with other players when you enter tag mode. So how that works is with local Wi-Fi, you bring your DS, 2DS, or 3DS to somebody else who also has Phantom Hourglass, and you enter the little tag mode at the same time, and it will trade your items back and forth. It's very similar to trading Pokemon, actually. But it does only work with Wi-Fi. Unfortunately, you do have to have somebody else who obviously has Phantom Hourglass and has put items in their boxes too to trade items. You can, however, play multiplayer battle mode with other people, and you can fight against them and do little phantom battles with people who do not have a cartridge, actually, and I think a lot of people don't know that. But if you have somebody else who has, again, the same type of console you do, so a DS or a 3DS or whatever, you can actually play multiplayer Phantom Hourglass with them. Not multiplayer as far as the regular quest, it's actually just the little separate mode where you can battle them. But anyways, you cannot trade with somebody who doesn't have a cartridge. So if somebody else has a cartridge and they have Wi-Fi enabled and you're next to them and they enter tag mode 2, then you will trade items back and forth. And what you want to do there is you actually want to trade the items that are really common for you, because an interesting thing about Phantom Hourglass is what's common for you is not common for other people. It's varied, it's randomized every time you start a new game. So as an example, earlier you saw that all of my demon parts sold for 800 rupees. So if somebody else put demon parts in theirs, which for their game is worth 50, and then I get demon parts, it's worth 800 for me. So I actually want to put in the lower tier treasure that you don't want. So all the treasure that doesn't sell for much and all the ship parts that don't sell for much, you want to put them in there. So tag mode with Friedel is the best way to make money in Phantom Hourglass, but it requires somebody else who also owns the game and has the same type of console that you do. Long explanation. It's always one of those things that made me a little sad, though. I don't have any friends that have the handheld Nintendo consoles. Like, I have a lot of friends that have, like, the GameCube and all that, whatever. You know, the GameCube, the Switch, the Wii U, all that kind of stuff, because they wanted Smash Bros. Or whatever, and a couple other games for that, Star Fox, etc. So they'd get the Zelda games for that, too. So they'd have, like, Twilight Princess and you know, Skyward Sword and all those, and Ocarina of Time. But they didn't have the 3DS or the DS or the 2DS or whatever, or Game Boy, whatever. Nobody had those. So I always sort of thought it was sad, because like when I'd play games like this, I could never do the multiplayer with them, and I couldn't do tag mode at all. So I have friends that do have consoles like that, but a lot of them are in other states. So, because I'm in Alaska, and so like a lot of those people that I know are like on the East Coast or like in California and stuff. So I have several friends that I know online that have it, but it's all like local Wi-Fi only, so it's kind of sad. It always kind of bummed me out. I always looked at that feature and was like, oh, I can't do it. Next up, you can swing over to Bannon Island and drop off the letter for Joanne. Now again, this letter will only appear in the mail once you have completed the first portion of the fishing side quest, so that Joanne is here on Bannon Island with the old wayfarer. So if she's here, then you can deliver the letter to her and she will give you a wisdom gem. Now, one quick comment about this, you can just head to the Fisherman's Hut the next time that you have a fish to turn in, because if you don't have any particular rush to get a wisdom gem, you can just do both of those things at the same time. So you can just keep adventuring, and then the next time that you have a fish to turn in, so either a louver or a rusty swordfish or Neptuna, you can then bring it to the old wayfarer and drop off her letter at the same time. That might be more efficient. Speaking of which, at this point I had a rather sad encounter with a Neptuna, which I am not showing. That recording was actually lost, but I'll explain that here in a little bit. So our next objective is actually to head to Spirit Island. So that is actually just south of Melita, so warp over there and then just go due south, and in between the 3 rocks on the map, there's actually an island hidden there, and as you get close, you'll discover it. The Spirit Island, we haven't been there yet. We could have gone there before, but there wasn't really much for us to do there. But once you arrive, you want to open the chest on the far right, which gives you a courage gem. So once you're done messing around out here, you can enter the cave, and what Spirit Island allows you to do is to upgrade your various spirits. So now that if you've been following along with me so far, you should have 10 power gems, so we can upgrade the Spirit of Power to increase its damage. So from now on, you can now press the menu button, and at long last, you can go to your collection status and you can equip one of your spirits. So I'm just pointing out the fact that we have 10 power gems, and that allowed us to upgrade the Spirit of Power. So you tap that to select it. When it's all highlighted like that and fluttering, then that means that's the one we have equipped. So you'll notice this makes our sword all on flame, and what it does is it doubles our attack damage. So that's all the upgrade we can get here for now. I will come back and get the other ones upgraded once we have enough gems. And the upgrade for each one of them is very interesting, and they're useful in different situations. I think they're all really good. At first, definitely fire was my, or power was my favorite one of the first several times I played this game. I think now that wisdom is my favorite. Courage is useful in very specific situations, but like overall, power and wisdom are the two most useful ones in my opinion. Alright, so I talked about this in a previous video a little bit, but this is the point in the walkthrough where I caught Neptuna, and there's a reason for this, but I forced it to spawn, and I'll explain my story here in a little bit. So how I did this is I went to Abandoned Island, and then I set sail, and then I canceled drawing a route, so I just pressed the little back icon in the bottom left, and then I'm just hanging out here in the sea, and what I'm doing is I'm just waiting for the swordfish icon to appear. So when you leave a port, there's about a 25% chance that you will see a swordfish icon on the map, and it appears after about 30 seconds to like a minute, somewhere in that range. It doesn't take very long, actually, so I would wait like a minute and a half, and if an icon doesn't appear, then go to a port to reset it, and then try again. So again, there's a 25% chance, and you can either sail around, or you can cancel drawing a route so the time actually passes, and that's how you make that happen. The nice thing about hanging out at a port like that with just canceling drawing a route is that enemies do not spawn, so that way you can do that without having to worry about getting attacked. So go after the swordfish icon once you finally see it, start fishing, and there's about a 17% chance that a swordfish icon will be a Neptuna. So if it's a rusty swordfish instead, just cancel fishing and go back to a port to reset it once more. So if you do this thing where you're just sitting here and forcing it to spawn, you will have, it probably will take you like maybe half an hour, something at most, and you'll probably get Neptuna. So that is a way you can guarantee that can happen, and my reasoning for doing that at this point in the game is actually a kind of sad story. So when I left Abandoned Island earlier, I actually saw a swordfish icon, and I went to it, and was like, oh, okay, whatever. And it was actually Neptuna, and I was super excited, and then I started fishing, and it was great, and then I hear a little, like, I was all happy and stuff, and then I hear a little Windows ding, and I look over, and my recording had stopped. I think because I ran out of hard drive space or something like that. I don't remember anymore. Something like that. So I canceled fishing and then loaded my game and started the recording up again, and I was hoping there'd be another swordfish icon, and there wasn't. So then I forced one to appear, and that one was a rusty swordfish, and then I just loaded my game again, and I was like, fine, whatever, I'll continue on with the main quest. And so I did Spirit Island, and as I was sailing towards Spirit Island, I was getting more and more annoyed. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to keep forcing swordfish to appear until I get a Neptuna, and so I did. So after Spirit Island, I went ahead and caught Neptuna. So that's what this recording is that you're watching now, is I actually lost the first Neptuna recording, and then I started over again so that I'm actually, like, legit. And so I actually show the end of it. This is my stubborn streak, I guess. I did do it. It was legit and everything, and then but I was just like, I just felt like I earned it, and then all of a sudden it was taken from me, and so I had to make it happen. You know, I had to set things right. So once you finally caught it, you want to work your way back to Abandoned Island and talk with the old Wayfarer to get the heart container. Now, I did show a video of catching Neptuna and doing all that in the fishing video, but as I explained in that video too, I didn't actually do that myself. That was just a recording from a previous playthrough when I did get it at that point. For this particular playthrough, this is when I actually get that heart container. So if you're following along with me, this is when I actually start having that many hearts. So I'm updating my collection status now to show the that I'm getting the heart container now. But that if you're following along with me, this is when I'm getting it. Alright, so with all this collection stuff done and the 3 spirits in hand, we can finally navigate the fog. So, go to the southwest quadrant, sail due north of Melita Island, and chase down that ghost ship. So to keep things simple though, I will be having all of the related ghost ship stuff together in the following video. So that's actually the end of this one, folks. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, be sure to like this video, and then subscribe both to Zelda Dungeon and myself so you can get notified when we post more of the same. You can follow us also on various socials, which are going to be links in the description and stuff, so you can hang out with us, and that's awesome. As always, you guys are awesome, have an amazing day, and I will see you next time.